أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نوعنا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه ثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, we'll continue with our class, inshallah. But before we go into the class, there are a few things that I want to follow up from yesterday. Right, so I asked you all to do your homework, right? So, so basically, this is how I will just conduct my homework. I won't check who does it, or who does not do it. It's up to you all. If you do it for your own benefit, because research always benefits, right? So something that I noticed when I'm in the university here, even the Mustafa, my husband's teacher, always gives homework. They call it homework, but basically they just say to students to do some research to in certain matters. And whoever does it basically, right? And there is no, like, they don't do any form of punishment, any form of consequence, or even any form of reward. And you don't actually just basically, we could just be asking the sheikh a question, then the sheikh throws it back at us and just says to us, go and do the research, right? Because you're students, you're students in the university, you're students in the Mustafa and the Zahra. Go do your research. Right. So they will actually put it back at us to do our research. And it's not like, there has to be some form of reward system, or consequence for not doing it. Lah. It's just that whoever does it, you benefit. Basically you benefit. And I benefit a lot doing research, right? So whenever we ask the Shia a question and the Shia throws it back at us and we do our research, we read up. Like, we read up a lot. Right? We actually read up a lot of books. I see my husband doing it all the time. He'll pull out all the fiqh books and he begin to read up all the different mas'ala, and it really helps you understand and internalize meanings. Right. So mashallah, right, so you all went to search what you can, right, on so the first homework was the eight misconceptions, right? So, and what I wanted was not for you all to figure it out yourself what the eight misconceptions are, because this is something that falls under tafsir. Okay, so tafsir, you're not supposed to figure out yourself by yourself unless you are trained, unless you are trained in tafsir, right? Unless you're trained in tafsir, right? Then you can look at a verse and figure it out yourself. But otherwise, what is best, what you should be doing is going to sources. This is why I will ask, what's your source? Right? Whenever we come, our teacher asks us any question and we do our research, the first question he will say, what's your source? Give me the book that you referred to. Give me the book that you referred to, or the books that you referred to. What's your source? Right? And that is basically to show credibility in knowledge, right? So the tafsir that was posted of my classes, do you find out? Do you find it? Do you extract it? If I'm not wrong, I don't think I mentioned it in this series. I mentioned in another series, all the series. I mentioned it, not this one. All right, so extract it. I so get your sources. None of you give me your sources. I didn't see anyone give me their sources. You need to extract it and give me your sources regards to the eight misconceptions. All right. So not that you use your own interpretation, right? But give me your sources. Give me your sources. Do you know what source I use in my class, in my books? Those who follow me in Tafsir, do you all know what books do I use? Then you must ask the question, what books do you use? Right? What books do I use in my Tafsir classes? Okay. Right. So I hope that you all next time, I give your sources. Tell me your sources regards to books like that. The verses, mashallah, Wallahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. Like I'll just take out just a few that we have that I see people have pulled out. Right. So one of the verses is the early part of Surah Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, البرق يخطف أبصارهم كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا ولو شاء الله لذهب بسمعهم وأبصارهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. Right, so here is Surah Baqarah, the very early one. إن الله على كل شيء قدير. We have two parts in Surah Baqarah from very early in Surah Baqarah, whereby it speaks about Allah's qudra and Allah's ilm. Right. So the one that speaks about Allah's qudra, the first part, because right after this verse, right? يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Like right after this verse, right? So Allah speaks about like the munafiq, right? The hypocrites, and then He speaks about what He's able to do with the munafiq, right? And then He speaks about him being, and He ends the verse saying that He's all powerful, right? Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He ends the verse. I want to give you all more homework on this, but I don't want to, weigh on you all. Actually, if you can do if you can do research, and research meaning go and get your sources, like proper sources, okay? Proper sources. Don't do tafsir with your mind, okay? Don't do tafsir with your own mind, right? But tafsir, proper sources, get proper sources out, right? Read up what the scholars have said, about these verses, right? But I think inshallah at this point in time I won't put that on you yet, and maybe in the future, Allah Alam, right? So to train up, um. Right. So in this verse, right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, he ends the entire verses of speaking about the hypocrites, by saying Allah is all powerful over everything, because the thing about people who lie, right? Because hypocrites are liars, right? At the core of it all, they're liars. The thing about people who lie all the time, right? They are like, they are chronic liars, is that they keep thinking they can get away with it. That's why they lie. And that's why they keep lying, like because they think they can get away with it. Right? So when it comes to lying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use that Allah is all powerful. Allah is all powerful, like over everything. The other part in Surah Baqarah, right? بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And this verse comes right before Allah enters the story of Nabi Adam alayhi salam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, right? Our teacher, she would say, only pull out verses that you have memorized. She won't even like, if you don't know or you have studied up, only pull out verses that you have memorized and studied, that you know what these verses mean. MashaAllah. But for me, I said any verse, right? I said any verse, right? But if you can keep to what you know, if you can keep to what you know, and I think that most of most of us, inshallah, if you read Quran often enough, you would be familiar with Surah Baqarah. You should be familiar with Surah Baqarah. So I'm quite surprised that nobody pulled out the verse, very short verse, in Surah Baqarah before the creation of Nabi Adam. And he said it's right there in the beginning. Right there in the beginning. Let me see if anybody pulled it out. I don't see anyone pulling it out. Hmm. Why? It's right at the beginning, They all like search the Quran from the beginning. It's right at the beginning of the Surah Baqarah. Right. I know there's like all these numbers, right? And you can just Google and you can find it out. Right. But from the very beginning, Surah Baqarah, what pulled it out. Right. Mm, yeah, it's the verse right before the creation of Nabi Adam alayhi salam, whereby Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, والله خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم. Right, there is a verse right before Allah enters into the story of Adam alayhi salam, وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. تمام. Right, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he brings the verses into saying that he created everything in the earth, right? And he leveled it. He leveled it, like, and his powers over everything, and Allah is all knowledgeable over everything. And this last statement, right, that Allah is all knowledgeable over everything, because the next part of the Quran, goes into the story of Nabi Adam, alayhi salam. A story that brings about a lot of questions, right? From the angels, from Iblis, and from Nabi Adam, alayhi salam, and from the one who's reading the story of this very well-known story, the first story in the Quran. So I'm quite surprised no one pulled out that verse. It's right at the beginning. It's right there. Like, pull out the verse right at the beginning, Surah Baqarah. Yani, before Nabi Adam's, right at before the creation of Nabi Adam alayhi salam. Now, even Muhayyib is found in Surah Baqarah as well, isn't it? No. All right, so inshallah, I will leave it so let you all. So inshallah, we will go into it a bit more as we go into the story of we go into the aqidah. So I'm going back to our text here. Okay, someone also texted me like something she found online, which is I think important for us to go through. Let me see. Okay. Um, okay. This kind of website. See, okay, let me show you all. Okay, this kind of websites. Mhm. Yeah, you can do research. Frankly, you can actually do research. You can actually do research using teachers that you trust. It does count. It does count. To do research because you know that they are going with proper sources and you know that that they have a sanad that comes with their knowledge, right? That can be done. And it's just called taqlid, yani. You're just gonna copy someone. Right? And there is in fact the best way in fact, right? Because you know the one who's speaking is credible. Right? So for me, like a lot of stuff that I share in Sirah, especially, it comes from Habib Omar. And Habib Omar, because I know that he is very well versed in hadith and he knows like how to filter. If I just read hadith book, if I just read Sirah books, right? A lot of the Sirah books have a lot of stuff in there that you don't know the level of its credibility, right? But if you go through a scholar, the scholar is a filter for you, and the scholar will tell you which verse, or which stories, or which hadith is is in line with this. Is which hadith you can hold on to, and which stories you're not supposed to hold on to. Right? The scholars will tell you will inform you of that. Okay, so anyway, someone pointed me to this website, right? It seems yeah, I said in Allah or Allah both can, right? I said both can. I said in Allah or Allah both can. I mentioned that. Right? I mentioned that. I mentioned you can say in Allah, you can say Wallahu. Now, mentioned that. Okay. Right. So this website, it seems somewhat harmless, but it is harmful. Okay, it is harmful. Very harmful. Right. And this is the kind of thing whereby they say it's for Christians and Muslims. No, it's by Christians. It's by Christians to destroy Muslims. Okay, but they're doing it in a very somewhat, it seems that it's unassuming, right? But it's all terrible devices that if a Muslim child or Muslim teenager would just want to search up about Surah Ikhlas and they stumble upon this website, if they do not have the knowledge for it or they don't know who to ask, they might very well go into a disbelief, right? They might go into disbelief. We just go through what it says here, okay? And of course, I want to just show it because to know what is evil is a form of protection. Right? To learn evil is a form of protection. Right. And this is what happens when people do their own tafsir. These are not Muslims, of course, they're Christians. Or I don't know whether they're Christians or whether they are former Muslims. They're trying to attack Islam. Right. But this is what happens when they try and do tafsir with no sanad. They have no sanad, right, in their knowledge. This is dangerous. Right. So they mentioned about Surah Ikhlas. Muslims believe it alone is equivalent to one third of the Quran. They love to recite it because it claims to define God in just 4 verses, and it's true. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, right? So, I think that this chapter refutes the beliefs of Christians, say He is Allah who is one, Allah, قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Okay, let me see. Right, so you can see that from the very beginning, you know that isn't this is probably people who are disbelievers, right? They are disbelievers who are writing this, right? So, uh, subhanallah. They're trying to refute. I know why they're trying to refute. Because as believers, right? As believers, right? Um, we know that the statement that God is one, that we know the statement that God is one, has been the Nabi Adam alayhi salam. We are not trying, subhanallah, the very proof, subhanallah, the very fact that they say that nothing new is being said is a proof of the truth of Islam. Subhanallah. Because truth cannot be new. Truth is qadim. Al-haqq qadim. Right? Truth is qadim. Truth has no beginning. Because Allah is truth. The oneness of God has no beginning. It cannot be new. Necessarily, it cannot be new. If something is new, then it's not true. Like when it comes to reality, right? When something is new, necessarily it is not true. Why? Because then those who came before this thing, what did they believe in? Did they believe in something that was wrong? Right? Wrong? Wrong or right? Right. Subhanallah. Of course it's not new. It's not even a proof. Right? No one's saying that is new. The Quran, and in fact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeats in the Quran over and over and over and over and over again. This was what was revealed to prophets from before. It was what was revealed to prophets from before, the kalima of Tawheed, from the first prophet to the last prophet. Every human being was told the kalima of Tawheed. Right. So I don't know these kind of people, what's wrong with them. Or like in the sense of trying to do an argument, but there's not supposed to be an argument there. We agree with you. It's not new. We agree with you. And if the Bible has said this over 2,000 with the Quran, that is good because Nabi Isa said that. Nabi Isa said what God is one. So the Nabi Musa and Nabi Ibrahim and and Nabi Nuh and Nabi Adam, all of them said the one word. God is one. Right. MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. Right. Subhanallah. And the irony is that they think that it's a refutation to the Christian beliefs. They are refuting what they believe. Right? They are refuting what they believe. Right? They're saying here, right, where does it say that God is not one? It's because that we believe we have three gods, and this verse so based upon that belief. No Christian believes in three gods. Okay, mashallah, tabarakallah. If they don't believe in three gods, then they have God. Allahu Alam was the entire Trinity thing about, right? Like, I mean, if they believe in one God, good for them. Good for them when they believe in one God. Like, it seems like you know why this seems like someone who's so defensive. You don't even know what you're defensive about. You know, it's interesting. Allah Allah. So that's like I don't want to waste time going through this entire website. But just to point out to people that if your kids read through this stuff, they're trying to sway our Muslims. Like, sway the Muslims. I don't know what they're trying to do, but basically the entire website is just reeking of ignorance. It is reeking of ignorance. They don't realize that this verse, right, the entire sending down of Surah Ikhlas was a response to the polytheists in Mecca. People have no knowledge, they don't understand this. Right? The entire this Asbabun Nuzul, Asbabun Nuzul of Surah Ikhlas have nothing to do with the Christians actually. It has everything to do with the Quraysh, the Quraysh of Mecca. Because the Quraysh came to someone day and said, "Oh Muhammad, tell us about your God. Is he made from gold, or silver, or copper? What is his lineage? So the Quraysh, like they used to have, boasting about their gods, about their idols. That the idol is made of gold, the idol is made of silver, the idol is from a very high lineage, the idol. You see how, as I mentioned yesterday, they tend to make God in the image of man, right? So the Ikhlas came down to respond to the Quraysh. And this whole website seems to think that the Surah Ikhlas is speaking to the Christians. No, we have plenty of verses that speak to the Christians. Plenty. Ya Ahl al-Kitab. Like they begin in the يقول يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله There are many verses in the Quran that whereby Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says to the Ahl Kitab, or say to the people of the book, come to a word that is the same than us and you. They will not worship except Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Other verses, right? Where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, the like of Nabi Isa, the like of Nabi Adam, خلقه من تراب ثم قال له كن فيكون. Allah made him from sand and said, be, and he is. الحق من ربكم. The truth is from your Lord. Right? So the whole website is confused. Allah, the whole website is confused. So confused. But you see how they do their argument? You see how they do the argument? Right? Like as if they know so much. Whereas, see this kind of thing. It's so messed up. And you hear people saying excellent post, whatever, like, but it's so incredibly messed up. It's so incredibly messed up. Like, subhanallah, like, it's so incredibly messed up. Like, it's like they're so defensive, and but there's no point in their argument. They're not making any sense in their argument. But because it's written in a way, it seems to make sense to those who have no knowledge. That's the danger. That's the danger there. Okay, that is the danger there. Okay, alhamdulillah, let me just go back to our class. Yeah, just wanted to point it out because someone sent me the link about this website to comment on, which I think is important, right? For me to comment on it, right? And you think about it, is a falsehood, right? Falsehood is so easily debunked, so incredibly easy to debunk because it has no weight whatsoever, but by people with knowledge. Only when you have knowledge is that you poof and it's gone. Falsehood is that you just blow on it and it's gone. It has no weight, no basis, no nothing. Like I think I've read so many atheist books, all these atheist books, right? And honestly, it's a waste of time. It is complete fluff. Like all of these atheist books, they have absolutely no argument, no weight, and nothing. And you're like amazed. How in the world can people believe in this stuff? It's so idiotic in a sense. There's no intellect in there whatsoever. Right? But it's really lack of knowledge, no knowledge, and therefore the fool is easily fooled, of course, right? The fool is easily fooled. And that is why Shaitan, he is at war against the one who's seeking knowledge, because with no knowledge, you're easily duped. Like all these con artists, all these, scammers, right? The scammers online, who do they aim at? They aim at those who are jahil, right? Jahil. Sahih. And they go towards old people have not, they're not tech savvy, whatever. They go towards those who have no knowledge. Con artists do that. Right? Scammers do that. Shaitan is a big scammer. Right? He goes around scamming everyone. Right? But he can't go to someone who knows exactly his tricks and his plots and plans. Nah, he goes to those who have no clue about all these things and he scams them. Right? And he scams them into disbelief. And so it's so subhanAllah. But really, I've not seen a single argument in my life, and mashallah. And that's the proof of Islam. I've not seen a single argument against the Aqidah of Islam or against the Quran or against anything in Islam that actually has any weight whatsoever. I've not found a single one. Till today, I have not found a single one. I've been reading and see what people have, why people are living religion, why there's a lot of murtad going on, and so on and so forth. Honestly, not a single argument has weight. It's just reeking with ignorance. And that's just the calamity of it all. Allah. Now, let's go into the verse. So بكل رسول أرسله الله وقوله وبكل رسول أرسله الله أي يجب الإيمان بالرسل الذين أرسلهم الله تعالى. The thing about Islam, mashallah, is that the more you study Islam, the more you study, especially you study Aqidah, fiqh, tasawwuf, fiqh tahawulat, right, all of the sciences, there's so much, intellect in there. Like it calls on the intellect so much. Ya Allah, is the opposite of what the world is saying about religion. That religion is all superstition, with no intellect. La, It's full, like Allah keeps calling on to us to think, to think. And sometimes when I see how our scholars, discuss methods, especially in fiqh and how they weigh things, it's it's genius. Like we have geniuses in this ummah, like great geniuses. Like, subhanallah, for me, okay, like, for me, I appreciate all this stuff, and I love like a strong mind or a strong argument, and it's so exhilarating. I have to just see a strong argument, as opposed to just this idiotic stuff going on out there. No brains there at all. Really. Um, keep continuing. وبكل رسول رسله الله تعالى أن يجب أي يجب الإيمان بالرسل. So it is compulsory to have iman in the prophets الذين أرسلهم الله تعالى, that Allah has sent them إلى الخلق لهدايتهم, for their guidance, right, for the guidance of human beings, وتكميل معاشهم ومعادهم وأيدهم بالمعجزات al-Zahirat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets. And here he mentions the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets. Right, so first thing first, guidance. Okay, guidance is the first thing. And so prophets, there are two ways of guidance. You want to write, just my pen. See, my pen is outside. There's another pen here. Okay. Let me just write down here to do this. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Hidayah, right? So him to the Hidayah of the prophets comes in the books, right? The books sent to them, right? In their life, right? Or you say lifestyle. Or life or lifestyle. Okay. So the Hidayah that comes through prophets, there are the books that are sent to the prophets, either the Quran, either the Injil, the Torah, the Zabur, right? So subhanallah, I'm so amazed by how ignorant the website is. You want to put an argument online, you want to make it, public. Do some research. You make a fool of yourself, not doing any research, and then trying to do so-called debunk Islam. And they've done zero research. We don't disagree with them that there should be in their books, because they wrote the book, there should be in their books monotheism. There should be. And there's no disagreement there. Full agreement. يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله. صح? Say, oh, people of the book, come to a word between us and you. They will not worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come. Right. This إن إله واحد. Hey, من أول إلى الأخير. And for all the years, all the prophets, one word is one word. إله واحد is one God. So we're not trying to argue with them. So good for them if they realize that they are monotheists. Good for them. Alhamdulillah. I'm so happy for them. And they can stop saying all this Trinity and whatever. لا تقل ثلاثة. انتهوا. And Allah says in the Quran, do not say three. Stop it. Right? So stop it. And in fact, the thing about Trinity, right, is that it's not found in their books, but it is mentioned in the Quran in a way that when Allah schools them about it, but in their own books, it's not mentioned. You know that, right? Trinity is not mentioned in their own books, right? But in the Quran, Allah calls them about it. Subhanallah. Um, now, so in the books of the Sunnah of the Prophets and the life of the Prophets is Hidayah. Okay, the life of the Prophets and our Prophets, Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam specifically, it is Hidayah. وتكميل معاشهم ومعادهم وأيدهم, right? So to complete all of the um معاش ومعاد, basically it is the entire way of the human being, the life of the human being, what the human being is on the path, in this world. So to give us a full, complete, a picture of what Allah Subhanahu wa Taala wants of a human being by the prophets. That Allah Subhanahu has sent prophets to be examples for us, right? And how to go back to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in the perfect state. وَأَيَّدَهُمْ, and Allah assisted them doing mu'ajizat, right? With miracles and mu'ajizat is very important for us to understand. It comes from the word ajaza. Okay, you all your four students, okay, and give you all more. Okay, not going to be a simple class, okay, a bit more, a bit more. If I had to do 3 pages per lesson, see, I'm behind. To finish the book, I had to do 3 pages per lesson. Today I did only 3 lines. No, I'll catch up, inshallah. Right. Right, mu'jizat, ajaza, I put ajaza, right, ajaza, ain, jim, za. Ajaza means enable, enable, okay, enable, inability, right, enable. Okay, so the word mu'jizat is from the word ajaza because it basically, like it's a miracle that nobody else is able to do, right? Unless they have backing from God Himself, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only like so the jinn can't do it. The jinn can't do it. And that was what made the magicians down Nabi Musa alayhi salam fall on their faces in sujood. When they saw what Nabi Musa brought, they knew this is not from the jinn. Because human beings, that is the only source of, miracle that you would say, out of the ordinary, behavior, right? So someone wants to fly, somebody wants to, disappear, somebody wants to, be stabbed and still live or whatever. If they want to do all of these actions, right, so-called, magic tricks, right? The only two ways of doing it is one way is to do a trick in itself, like basically the sleight of the hand, there is some illusion. And these things will be called illusions. And they're not called magic, they're called illusions. They're illusions. Right? That's one way, and that's a game, yani. And that is something that is, you would say, dishonest. It has a level of dishonesty. And not recommended to do. I know people are very, very amazed by magic, illusions, right? But it has a level of dishonesty in there. They are tricking people all the time, you know. And so anyway, the magic that we speak about that human beings, get into with the jinn, it's only from one source, the jinn, right? They don't know anybody else who can help them. They can't go to angels. They go to jinn. Right? So they know the limitations of the jinn. The people who use jinn, they know the limitations of jinn. They know it. So when they saw what the prophets brought, they know no jinn can do this. This is beyond the jinn. And like Musa alayhi salam taking his stick, throwing it onto the ground, and the stick transforms itself, transforms, eh? It's not a play in the eye, it's not a movement of the rope. No, the stick literally transforms itself into a serpent. Right? Not a jinn, that's God in creation. God is creating, right? Nabi Musa is splitting the sea. No jinn can do that. They can't do that. They can't split the sea. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam splitting the moon. The jinn can nobody can physically split a moon. They can't. The jinn cannot do that. Right. So when it happened, the Quraysh, they were like, oh, he's playing with our eyes. He's playing with our eyes. Right. And then they debunked that by saying that there were travelers that were traveling outside of Mecca, they were coming to Mecca. They all saw it. And in fact, there is a story from India. The story from India whereby there was a king, a sultan in India in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He saw the moon split. He was in India. He saw the moon split, and he was amazed. And he asked his subjects, "What just happened? I saw the moon split. What just happened?" And then he did. Nobody had any clue what's going on. Why did the moon split? And then he commanded his subjects to go and find out why the moon split. And at that time, there were some Arabs that had come to India, right? And they went to the Arabs, and this is the time of Rasulullah, and they asked them, "Do you all know about the moon splitting? Do you all see the moon splitting?" So the whole world witnessed it, not just Mecca, and the entire world. If it was nighttime, the whole world that was in nighttime witnessed the splitting of the moon. So the enemy, the Arabs told them, yes, there is a prophet. There's a man who claims to be a prophet in Mecca, right? And he was the one who pointed to the moon split. Right? And so the king, he left his entire kingdom to search for Rasulullah. He is recorded in the Sirah books. His emergence in Mecca is recorded. They recorded a foreigner coming into the presence of Rasulullah, he brought gifts from India. And he took Islam from Rasulullah. He's a Sahabi who is Indian, Indian Sahabi. Then he traveled back to his land to do da'wah, to make masajid and to spread the word of Islam. MashaAllah. So this is all proofs because the moon really split. It really split. So it's mu'ajizat, not ajiza, it's inability. Al-Zahirat manifest, right? Because what's the point of having miracles that are hidden? The whole point of mu'ajizat is a hujjah, right? It's a hujjah, it's a proof, right? It's a proof, right? It's a proof against the disbelievers that they have seen it, right? قال تعالى آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the Prophet believes or has believed, the Prophet has believed of what was sent down onto him from his Lord, and the believers, all of them believe in Allah and the angels and the books and the prophets. Subhanallah. واختلف في عدد الأنبياء والرسل فقيل إن عدد الأنبياء 124 ألفا وعلى الرسل 313 رسولا وهذا هو المشهور. تمام. So there is a difference of opinion between the number of prophets. Right? The prophets there are 100,000. That 124,000. Okay, 124,000 prophets. Right? And then you have the Rasul. There are 313. Right? 313. Rusul. And that is what is mashhur, that is what is known. لكن البجوري, one of the scholars of the past, he said الصحيح في الأنبياء والمرسلين الإمساك عن حصرهم في العدد لأنه ربما أدى إلى إثبات النبوة والرسالة لمن ليس كذلك في الواقع أو إلى نفي ذلك عمن هو كذلك في الواقع. So Imam al-Bajuri, he said that, this is the thing that we love about Nil Maram. And Nil Maram, he does bring in Masail. He does bring in Masail to discuss, right? So Imam Bajuri says, we don't put a number. Don't put a number on the number of prophets and messengers. We don't put a number, right? Why? Because it could be that people think that some people are actually prophets or messengers when they are not, or you might think that some people are not prophets or messengers when they are. So the best thing to do is to not put a number to how many prophets and messengers there are. ولقد أرسلنا رسولا من قبلك منهم من قصصنا عليك ومنهم من لم نقصص عليك. And Allah says in the Quran, and we have indeed sent to you, O Prophet, or we have indeed sent prophets from before you, O Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And of them we have told their stories. Allah has informed us of the stories of these prophets. But many of them, Allah did not inform us of their stories. Like how we mentioned yesterday, or they said the day before, about how, when Islam came to China, I think which is another Aqidah class was Saturday, yeah. When Islam came to China, the Chinese embraced Islam very quickly because they had recognized in the Muslims, something that was taught to them by the emperor, the yellow emperor. They had the same teachings. And it's not mustahil to say this emperor was a prophet because the emperor existed before Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So any great figures that existed before Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and these great figures called to Tawheed. It is not mustahil, it is not impossible that these great figures were indeed prophets themselves. Right? Not impossible, right? So because Allah has sent many prophets, and every nation will have a prophet that is from that Allah subhanahu will send, right, to educate the people. Now, let me see, you don't need the footnotes. Now, the footnote here. وروي عن أبي ذر الغفاري أنه قال قلت يا رسول الله كم الأنبياء. So here's the source of the numbers. So here Sayyidina Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, he said to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, how many prophets are there? قال 100,024 ألفا. فقلت وكم الرسل? And so the Rasul responded by saying 124,000. So the numbers come from this narration. And so he says وكم الرسل? And he said فقال 313 نفذ عشر جما غفيرا. So he says 313, Rusul is from Imam Ahmad wa Tabarani. Now, right, so this is the narration. Right, so then you have وله شاهد من حديث أبي أمامة. So he gives some proofs here. أن رجل قال يا رسول الله أنبياء كان آدم. Right, so was Nabi Adam alayhi salam a prophet? قال نعم. قال وكم بينه وبين نوح. And the Islam said 10 قرون ما شاء الله. أي وقال وكم كان بين نوح وبين إبراهيم. So this is so 100. So 10 قرون. قرون is 100 years. So 10 times 100,000. Right, 1,000 years. عشر قرون meaning 1,000 years. قال كم كان بين نوح وبين إبراهيم. قال 10 قرون, it means another 1,000 years. So when Nabi Adam, Nabi Nuh, 1,000 years. Nabi Nuh and Nabi Ibrahim, 1,000 years. قال يا رسول الله كم كان الرسل. قال 315. So here he says 315. Here there was 313. ورواه الطبراني. And of course, this you will go into the science of hadith to bring the hadith together, right? To bring the hadith together and get so all goes into the science of hadith. Now, if you're wondering why he said 77 times, right? But it's all goes into mustalah hadith, the science of hadith. نعم. الفرق بين النبي والرسول. النبي هو إنسان حر ذكر. So a prophet, he is a human being, free human being, and male. Right? So خرج بإنسان جن والملك. Right? So والحيوان. Right? So he has to be a human being. So a jinn cannot be a prophet, while jinn are the subjects, right, onto whom the prophets have to relay the message to. Right? They are amongst the thaqalain, the jinn and the human beings. They are those who receive the message. So while the jinn are also part of the ummah, right, they are also part of the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of all prophets, in fact. So all prophets, when they are sent to men and jinn. They are sent to men and jinn. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was known. Sayyid ibn Mas'ud narrated of circumstances whereby he followed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or incidents that he followed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would enter into a cave and he would draw a line outside the cave, saying to Ibn Mas'ud, do not go past this line no matter what happens. And Zayd ibn Mas'ud, he would observe different creatures, different creatures crawling into the cave where Rasulullah, was sitting. And these creatures, they were jinn. And they were jinn. They came in the form of snakes, scorpions, cockroaches. These are all the forms that jinn come in. All these kind of like scary creatures. They were coming in that way, right? And they were learning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were studying their Sharia, right, with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, so خرج بإنسان جن والملك. There is no such thing as a prophet who is a jinn or a prophet who is an angel. No, right, but prophets, they must be human beings. It is compulsory, wajib, hur. They are free. They're not slaves. Right. So to speak about Nabi Yusuf, he said Nabi Yusuf was placed in prison, so he was not a free man. Right? But the whole point of prophets being free is so that they can be free to do da'wah. And they can be free to do da'wah. And Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, clearly in the Quran, he was doing da'wah, right, inside the prison. Right? Zakar has been a male. No, there's no such thing as a prophetess. No such thing. Salim an manfar al-taba'an. Inshallah, tomorrow we're going to continue with this, that he is free of any, natural, like you said, traits, physical traits that could cause for people to be repulsed by him. Right? So prophets, because they are attractive, they are to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, all prophets are given perfect form to call the people. Right? They're given perfect form. Because human beings are like that. They are attracted towards people who are good looking. Right? So Allah made all prophets good looking. Right? Because there's a physical attraction, right, towards them, and there's a spiritual attraction. So inshallah we'll pause there for today. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Amin. Mm, no. It's ya Allah. And so anyway, inshallah, I hope that you can. Okay, so I wanted to give homework today because I give this homework to the year three students, the Mustawa Salis. I'm doing the beginning of the start of the book with them, of this book of Naylul Maraam. And so we were going through Imam al-Haddad's biography because it's the book, right? So my homework to them was to that everybody share one thing that is interesting about Imam al-Haddad, either some statements that he has said or some stories that you know about him, right? Or, just anything they can find that is interesting about him. So I made the year three students do that, and I really enjoyed what they did because they really shared a lot of stuff, mashallah. So I'm gonna make you all do it as well because I enjoy reading it. So I'm gonna make you all do this as well. Go and find out about Imam al-Haddad. Share one thing. Don't share like an article or a book. No, share one thing, right? Because I want to actually compile all of these things and make it into like posters or whatsoever, so we can do that. We can spread the word, right? So I'm amazed by the year three students. Maybe I will share what they shared with me, and you all cannot replicate. You cannot share what they share. You must find new stuff, make it more difficult on you all. So I'm gonna forward to you all what the year three students shared with me yesterday, so that you all go and find other things about Imam al-Haddad. Go and find out. Okay, homework. Try your best, inshallah. Just read up stuff. Because I also am learning more stuff from Imam al-Haddad because of the get three students. Because some of them brought stuff that I didn't know about as well. Right, so I like it. And I think it's enjoyable. And I'll forward to you all that I got from them. So you can see it, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin. وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. I'm gonna pass the host to. When I pass the host to, so that you can make the next teacher host. Should I make or should I just close the room?